If you've ever stood over your compost pile wondering why it's still sitting there unchanged after weeks or even months, you're not alone. Almost every gardener has experienced the slow, sluggish compost heap that never seems to heat up or break down the way it should. Maybe it smells a little too sour, maybe it's soggy, or maybe it's just stubbornly sitting in the same state as the day you first built it. But here's the thing, your compost isn't failing because you don't know how to compost. It's not failing because you're missing expensive activators or rare ingredients. Most gardeners are missing just one simple layer, a thin, mineral-rich layer that supercharges microbial life, locks in nitrogen, balances moisture, and can literally cut composting time in half. This is the same natural process forests have used for millions of years, and most backyard composters have simply forgotten it. On Soilpower, we're all about returning to nature's logic. So today, let's break down the hidden mineral compost layer and how to use it to transform your compost into a living engine of soil fertility. Even if you're layering your browns, greens, and adding water, there's still one major variable that decides how fast your compost decomposes: microbial activity. Microbes are the heart of composting. They break down every leaf, every peel, every blade of grass, and for them to thrive, they need three things. So, when it comes to successful composting, there are three essentials you really need to keep in mind. First, carbon, which you get from browns like dried leaves and cardboard. Second, nitrogen, which comes from greens like grass clippings and kitchen scraps. And finally, minerals. And that last part, minerals, is where most compost piles fall short. When minerals are missing, the pile won't heat up efficiently, nitrogen escapes into the air, and decomposition slows to a crawl. You may notice ammonia smells, soggy mats of kitchen scraps, or patches of waste that stay recognizable for months. In short, your compost is decomposing, but it's doing so poorly, slowly, and with nutrient loss. This is why many gardeners get discouraged and assume composting is complicated, but the truth is, it's not about working harder, it's about restoring something simple. The hidden layer is simply a thin layer of soil or mineral-rich rock dust spread between your layers of browns and greens. It sounds almost too easy, but it performs several powerful functions at once. It introduces billions of microbes right where they're needed. Think of it like adding the starter culture to yogurt. Without it, the milk will still change eventually, but with it, the transformation is fast and alive. It also locks nitrogen in place, preventing nutrient loss through ammonia gas. If your compost ever smells sharp, sour, or like fertilizer, that's nitrogen leaving your pile instead of feeding your soil. This mineral layer also regulates moisture and creates physical microspaces for air movement. Compost microbes need oxygen, you know. If the pile compacts, they suffocate, but adding thin layers of soil prevents compression and keeps the pile aerated from within. In short, this one step really does it all. It speeds decomposition dramatically, reduces odor, prevents nutrient loss, improves microbial diversity, supports better moisture balance, and produces richer, darker, more nutrient-dense compost. No store-bought booster can replace what a handful of your own soil can do. This is not a thick layer. You don't need a shovel. You don't need much at all. A dusting is enough. Think of it like seasoning food. Too little is fine, but too much can actually slow the process. When building your pile, the pattern looks like this. Browns, then greens, then a mineral layer, add water, and then you just repeat. For every 3 parts browns, use 1 part greens and about 1/4 parts soil or rock dust. So, in practice that might look like 6 inches of dry leaves followed by 2 inches of vegetable scraps, and then about ½ an inch of loose garden soil, or maybe some rock dust. Then, just lightly moisten before repeating. The key here is honestly consistency. Not a pile of greens here and a pile of browns there, and definitely not dumping all the soil at once. The magic, yeah, it really happens between each layer. You don't need anything fancy, really. Any healthy garden soil works just fine. And this is especially powerful if your soil already hosts good microbial life. But there are also, some excellent mineral amendments that really enhance the effect. Rock dust, like basalt or granite, brings trace minerals and actually boosts microbial performance. Clay soil helps retain moisture and nutrients, and, wood ash, used sparingly, can help balance acidity and add potassium. But honestly, do not overthink it. A scoop of soil from your own garden does more for your compost than a lot of those commercial additives out there. When you add the mineral layer, your compost is no longer just breaking down passively, it actually becomes biologically active. The heat builds up faster, the pile becomes more evenly moist, and the structure stays loose instead of collapsing in on itself. So, you've created the ideal environment for microbes. Oxygen flows, moisture is balanced, nutrients stay in place, and, the microbial population multiplies rapidly. This, in turn, creates a hot compost environment which, breaks down organic waste in just weeks instead of months. This is actually the same system that forests use, layers of plant matter, lightly dusted with soil from the forest floor, feeding the next generation of life. When we bring that process into our gardens, we're really reconnecting the cycle that nature perfected long before we came along. If your compost smells bad, looks slimy, or feels soggy, you likely need to add more browns and soil and turn the pile to introduce oxygen. If the pile is dry and slow, just add a little more greens and water. If the pile feels heavy or compacted, gently loosen it with a fork and add mineral dust as you rebuild the layers. Composting isn't guesswork when you understand the biology. You are not fixing the pile, you're restoring the conditions microbes need to thrive. When you use the mineral layer, your final compost isn't just decomposed organic matter, it is alive with microbial diversity, it is nutrient-dense, it builds structure in your soil, not just nutrition. Plants respond faster, roots grow deeper, water retention improves, and the soil begins regenerating itself over time. This is how we grow abundance, not by adding more fertilizer, but by strengthening the living system beneath our feet. The beauty of this method is its simplicity. No new equipment, no special purchases, no complicated ratios, just a thin layer of soil placed where nature expects it to be. Next time you build or turn your compost, try it. Give your pile what it has been missing, then watch how it transforms, not in months, but in weeks. If this opened your eyes to a deeper way of working with soil, you're in the right place. Subscribe to Soilpower and share this article with fellow gardeners who deserve thriving soil. Together, we're bringing life back to the ground, one forgotten layer at a time.